What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are having a good day. Check out the jersey. Got the Steph Curry jersey. Although I bet on the Cavaliers to win the NBA championship, I know, quite the drama, but put some money down on that. I think LeBron's gonna take it. That's a side note. I'm just wasting a little time before people get into the live stream. I want to talk about, is Seth Rich a right-wing Russian conspiracy? Is it fake news? Is it to cover up what's happening with Trump and Russia? I want to really debunk this, talk about all the things going on, and get to the bottom of it, because today there's a surge of news. And if you type Seth Rich into Google, the top searches are saying that it's a fake story, that it's a conspiracy and whatnot. So I want to talk about the facts first. Seth Rich was shot and gunned down in Washington, D.C. last year, shot from behind. It was called a botched robbery because he was shot from behind, but his watch, his wallet, his keys, nothing was stolen. So it clearly wasn't a robbery. What type of robbery shoots somebody from behind and then doesn't take any of the expensive stuff that they have on them? So it wasn't a robbery, and there's been recent investigations coming out where Seth's family hired a private investigator who was also paid by an anonymous source. I will admit the story there is a little bit sketchy, but they're saying that, that they talked to the police department. They keep trying to call the police, and the police looked them in the eye and said, listen, we've been told to stand down on this. And the FBI or the police has Seth Rich's computer. It seems like it's been confirmed that he was in contact with WikiLeaks, yet there's, nobody's reporting on it. A lot of these people that are saying it's a conspiracy, his family doesn't want it, it's a fake conspiracy, they're leaving out a lot of facts, which if you're going to call it a conspiracy, I think you should include, which is one, Julian Assange basically admitted, without admitting, because he's got a lot of integrity. Not only does he have an 100% accuracy record when it comes to his leaks, they've never been proven wrong, not one time. He has a 100% flawless accuracy record. He doesn't like to release the names or information of his leakers, and he has so much integrity with that. Even after Seth Rich is dead, he doesn't want to say that Seth Rich was the leaker because he doesn't want his other leakers to feel their privacy and safety jeopardized. So Julian Assange has basically admitted, without admitting a few times, he's been on and said, he's talked about the Seth Rich murder. He's offered $25,000. Keep in mind, WikiLeaks offered $25,000 for the reward of any information on Seth Rich. Meanwhile, the Democratic National Committee offered $0. That was their staff members. They offered $0, and they gave a bunch of their employees a bonus after they lost an election, which they spent $1.2 billion on. So WikiLeaks is offering, WikiLeaks cares more about the death of this person than the people that he works with. Nobody there cared that he died whatsoever. And actually, this was very disturbing to me. Hillary Clinton, there's a video of her using Seth Rich's murder to try to push gun control. It's one of the most disgusting, disturbing videos I've seen in a long time. She's like, Seth Rich got gunned down, and that's why we need to take your guns. Some pretty sick stuff. All right, so all of the news sources trying to say this is a conspiracy, this is a right-wing theory, this is not real. They're not including any of those evidence. They're not saying that Julian Assange has an 100% accuracy record. He's almost like, and I don't want to, not in a bad way, but he's almost like, has like a obsessive compulsive disorder type thing to him, where he's so flawless when it comes to, the information he releases and how much he provides his leakers. But these news sources, they're actually reporting the opposite. They're saying that he's lying about it. He's lying that they did this and that. They're trying to call Julian Assange a liar. But that would be fine. Call out his lie, whatever you think that lie is that they're calling out. But the fact that they won't include that they've been retweeting links that they said in an interview last year that they needed to talk about the safety of their leakers, and Seth Rich, the fact that he got gunned down, he basically admitted that Seth Rich was his leaker. He's shared a bunch of information on it. At least include that evidence. And that's my problem with journalism nowadays. They call things, everything that they don't like, that's covering up a crime of a politician, like either the Seth Rich murder or the Pedogate, where there was a lot of evidence. I'm not mad at the media for not just jumping on it and saying it's real, it's real, it's real. I'm not saying to do that, because we won't know until the perfect evidence is out. But Journalism is supposed to be you provide the evidence, you provide the facts, and you do honest reporting on the situation. What the mainstream media journalism is not journalism. It's a cover-up. They're not showing any of the evidence. They're not showing any of the facts. They're not showing all of the evidence being gathered that, you know, could lead in a direction. They're suppressing that information. They're hiding it. They're calling it Russian. They're calling it fake. They're calling it conspiracy. And they're pushing the real accurate information that we know is true down, and then saying everybody's fake and a liar. They're literally talking about Julian Assange, who has an 100% record on his leaks of accuracy. And they're saying that he's lying in this Seth Rich situation. And the interesting thing to me is the biggest conspiracy of all right now, and this is not my opinion, I'm sorry, this is, I mean, if you're talking about factual evidence, is the Russian conspiracy. There was the election, the biggest fake news of last year was the Vermont electrical grid story that the Washington Post pushed, where they said Russia hacked the electrical grid. That's a fake story. How come nobody's up in arms over that conspiracy? How come nobody's up in arms anytime the intelligence community say something bad about Trump? All of the people will say that think everything's a conspiracy and a right-wing hoax. They'll say, well, you got to listen to the intelligence communities. You have to listen to the intelligence agencies. Meanwhile, James Clapper, Director of Intelligence, and even McMaster, the new FBI leader who doesn't even like Trump, they've come out multiple times and debunked all of these Russia stories. And don't you notice, like the Seth Rich story and the Pedogate story, they're two stories. They've been consistent stories. There's a lot of evidence to both stories, and there's nothing changing about that except for more evidence coming out. The Russia thing is like a blanket for everything and anything. It's like, that's Russia, that's Russia. Well, it's the electrical grid, it's the election. Oh, wait, those got disproved? Now we're going to say that he leaked it. Well, he's meeting with Russia today, right? So if he's meeting with Russia, then of course that's an easy Russia story to make up. He leaked classified information. And then McMaster, the head of the FBI, who doesn't even like Donald Trump, who Donald Trump's going to replace soon, said, you know what, I can't lie. I was in the meeting and no classified information was being leaked. He talked about terrorism on airplanes, which the actual information that they gave out about the terrorism on the airplanes, it's something that's been published in every mainstream media source. It's not hidden information. It's not classified. It's actually out there in the open. You could Google it and find 50 articles about the exact type of terrorism that he was talking about in his thing. So that's been debunked by the intelligence communities, but no one cares because that's what the media has been doing. If there's any real evidence and any real facts on something like Pedogate, which, I mean, there's even more evidence than they even report on. Andrew Breitbart tweeted right before he died, he tweeted, how is John Podesta not known for being a world-class, you know, elite pedophile ring protector, something of that sort, and then he died a month later. I'm not saying that John Podesta killed Andrew Breitbart. I'm not saying that the Democratic Party killed Andrew Breitbart, but how come that information is not included in any of the articles? They're just like, no, this doesn't exist. It's not even real. It's Russian. It's fake, and it's a conspiracy. Everything's a conspiracy. Seth Rich dies, a DNC staffer. WikiLeaks literally offers anybody money on the information. The DNC doesn't offer any money. They don't want people to know who killed him. Yet they're innocent, and everybody who wants to delve deeper into the subject, it's fake. Why is it fake? Well, if you Google and check all these media sources, they said it's fake. But are they including that information? Are they including information that, you know, say Andrew Breitbart was killed a month after saying that? Are they including information that Sean Lucas, the processor of the DNC lawsuit, went to one of the Democratic senators, filmed a video and said, hey, look, we're processing a lawsuit on you, died a month later? Are they mentioning the fact that Seth Rich got shot in the back, got robbed of all his stuff? I'm sorry, didn't get robbed of all his stuff. They said it's a robbery, but all his stuff is on him. Are they reporting that? Are they reporting the fact that we have investigators that look the police in the eye? That's the thing, they don't, because they don't want to debunk it, because it's probably real if that's how they're acting. I wouldn't even think it's real if they didn't act like that, but it's like, is there an answer to it? It's like, why is the police backing down? How come the FBI and the police, they're holding onto the computer, but they won't investigate it? You know, why is this not a big deal? Oh, it is a major investigation. It's not a major investigation. Get your story right, because our story hasn't changed. We've been saying the same thing for 10 months, and we just got a little bit more information. But anybody who talks about this stuff, they're crazy. Like, okay, well, you want to talk about that? Well, it's not even like they're saying that's false, and I'm going to tell you why it's false. It's like, oh, no. Child sex trafficking doesn't even exist, even though we know it exists. Ashton Kutcher knows it exists. Dr. Phil knows it exists. millions of people know it exists, and the 500,000 little boys and girls who get kidnapped every year, they know it exists because they're not in the hands of their parents anymore. And that's a lot of little girls, boys and girls, 500,000. That's on the higher end of the estimation, but it doesn't exist because they said it's a conspiracy. And if you look at all of the stuff from either of those conspiracies, the Seth Rich murder or the pedogate, there's mounts of evidence, and there's something interesting about all of the mainstream media sources that debunk that and say it's a conspiracy, they say it's fake, they say it's Russian, they say it's not real. They don't include any of that evidence in their articles. Yet every single day there's a new mainstream media push for a new Russian story. It's not the same story. We don't have a one story. This is what Trump did. If Trump was killing people left and right, if somebody was coming out like, hey, I have information on Trump and Russia, I got the information, and then they're dead. And then someone else is like, hey, I have the information on Trump and Russia, and then they're dead. And then WikiLeaks publishes information about Trump and Russia, and then everybody else is ignoring it. Yeah, of course I would be on the same board as people and be like, man, something sketchy is going on. Everybody that talks about Trump and Russia dies, and then the media puts out, but it's the complete, literally, factually, reality-wise, logic-wise, it's the exact opposite. There's no evidence on it, and every single week the media has a new story. Well, he leaked classified information. Oh, well, the Director of Intelligence said he did it. Oh, no, well, they hacked the Vermont utility grid. Well, no, actually they didn't. That's a fake story. You could Google it now. Oh, well, they hacked the election. That's why they're hiding the Seth Rich story. And I will say my opinion, because it's not fact until it's completely out there, but Seth Rich worked at the DNC. Seth Rich dies, all of these leaks come out. The same amount of leaks that came out with WikiLeaks were the same amount of leaks being alleged that Seth Rich had on his computer that he sent to WikiLeaks. Oh, is that a conspiracy? Is that a coincidence? Of course, I'll wait for more information. I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but it just shows me that they're not trying to delve deep. They don't want an investigation. They don't want the police to investigate. They don't want the FBI to investigate. They'd rather the police and the FBI hide his computer and pretend like it's a robbery, even though he had all this stuff on him. Meanwhile, the complete opposite is true, and that's the strategy they've been using for years. They have any crime that they commit, it's okay, that's a conspiracy, and they have it systematic. They have all of these news sources it controls the flow of information. If you own the New York Times, the Washington Post, MSNBC, Business Insider, Newsweek, all of these things, okay, so we're going to say it's fake. We blast it out there, it's fake. And now you're in the top of the Google searches. Oh, Google works with you too. What do you know? Google was caught recently by WikiLeaks, who once again has an 100% flawless accuracy record. Google was helping Al-Qaeda. That's out. That's public knowledge now. You could Google that. Google what Google's doing with Al-Qaeda. Google what the FBI did with Martin Luther King. Everybody loves Martin Luther King, right? All the social justice warriors love Martin Luther King. Everybody should love Martin Luther King because he was a great American. He was an American hero. The FBI sent him a letter telling him to kill himself. Like, here, dear Martin Luther King, I know you're trying to, be a good American and make civil rights right, but you should probably kill yourself before we kill you. There was a court case settled in the 1990s that it was indeed them who killed Martin Luther King. The intelligence communities, it's settled in court. It's public knowledge. Google FBI letter Martin Luther King. Why don't we learn about that in school? Why doesn't anybody talk about that? Nobody, that's how dumb people truly are. This information it's not a conspiracy. It's all out there. You Google Seth Rich, you can find it all out. You Google pedogate, you can find it all out. You Google John Podesta, you can find all of this stuff out. It's all out there. It's just hidden amongst all of the news sources that they control. That's not a conspiracy. It's obvious. Everyone knows it. Everybody says it. Listen to somebody. Listen to anybody who's not working for them or lying for them. It couldn't be more obvious, but that's what they do. That's a conspiracy. We're going to call it a conspiracy. Anybody who thinks otherwise, back in the day, or I won't even say back in the day, because even as recently as this year and last year and 2 years ago and 5 years ago, they kill people who leak information. They kill people who talk about it. They silence journalists. They prosecute journalists who talk about it. We're lucky that Trump is shutting down these intelligence communities a little bit. He fired the FBI director. He's cleaning them up a little bit because for the past 40 years, they've just been killing anybody who says otherwise. And anybody who makes any sort of traction, they get rid of them. They either silence them or kill them. So that's why this information is the way it is because anybody who said otherwise didn't last long enough to really get people to believe it. And they have the nerve to say, well, the Seth Rich is a conspiracy. Pedogate is not real. It's not real because we're going to show you evidence and facts and proof that it's not real. It's not real because it's just not real, and talk about it more, you won't live much longer. Talk about it more, we're going to silence you, we're going to call you crazy, we're going to investigate you, we're going to make your life a living hell if you talk about the truth, because it's not true and we can't disprove it. We can't disprove the emails. We can't disprove all the evidence. We can't disprove the pictures. We can't disprove the Instagram. We can't disprove all of the facts, all of the evidence. We don't have anything to disprove it. We don't have an argument. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a Russian. You're a right-wing hack. You're a progressive. You're a left-wing hack. You're a libertarian. You're a green. You're a whatever. You're a Russian. You're a sexist. You're a racist. You're a xenophobic. You're a whatever. And millions of people just keep believing it. Like, it's almost funny. It's like, what? I don't know what else. It's like, well, they killed Martin Luther King and it's public knowledge, but no one got the hint yet. Dave Chappelle, one of the most successful comedians, talked about what the intelligence communities have been doing with mind control for years and how they killed JFK. And nobody cares. It's like, Dave, you won't even listen to Dave Chappelle? I thought that's who everybody likes. Everyone loves Dave Chappelle. He's the most popular comedian of this era. He told you in his stand-up, and people still don't get it. Well, I know that, but I hate Trump, so I'm just going to ignore everything because, he needs to go. Because that's what I've been told. So is Seth Rich a right-wing conspiracy? Is Seth Rich a Russian conspiracy? No. It's a real death, a real murder that happened that's really sketchy, and half of America is trying to dig deeper and figure out why he died, and the other half of America is trying to suppress that information, and they're believing news sources, intelligence communities, and politicians who don't want you to investigate. They don't want you to investigate because it's fake. They don't want you to investigate because it's Russian. They don't want you to investigate because it's going to ruin their entire narrative. It's going to shatter everything. And I feel comfortable about this because it doesn't matter. You could do something to me, okay? You could ruin my life. You could kill me. You could silence me. It's too late, and it's not too late because of me. It's millions of people know about this stuff. It's just, you can't kill everybody nowadays. You can't silence everybody. Back in the day, if I tried to say this 10 years ago, and I was successful, they would just kill me. Nowadays, there's 50 to 100, people saying this stuff. There's millions of people sharing this stuff. So what are they going to kill every American? No, they can't because they're not in the White House. And this is why, even though I don't agree with a lot of Republican and conservative and Trump values, that's why I support him. Because this is what's going on. And they're freaking the fuck out. That's why you hear about all this Russia stuff, get Trump out. They're freaking the fuck out because their whole house of cards is about to collapse. It's going to collapse. Whether you do something to me, whether you try to stop Alex Jones or Roger Stone or Paul Joseph Watson or progressives like H.A. Goodman and Tim Black, it doesn't matter. The house of cards is collapsing, and there's nothing in the world that's going to stop it because it's built by illusions. If you build your house on facts and knowledge and wisdom and logic and real authenticity, it's not going to collapse. But if your whole house is literally a foundation of lies, it's not going to stand. It's just not. You can do a lot of work to it recently, but it's slowly changing. Everything is a lie. Everything is a lie. These people's entire lives, their entire public perception is a massive, massive front. So they're panicking because they lied here, 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 they lied here. It's all collapsing on them right now. And they're desperately trying to stop it. Donald Trump calls it out. He says the media is BS. This is something that activists have known. And the irony is, someone like Bernie Sanders came along and got a lot of activists to go back on what they've been fighting for 15 years because everybody trusted him, as did I. And then he's like, wait, let's love the mainstream media and let's love all of these criminals and all of these corrupt politicians instead of hate them. So he got activists who were like, the media's corrupt, the media's corrupt, the media's corrupt, the media's corrupt, the media's... Bernie Sanders comes along, oh, you know what? Whatever. I think I'm just gonna go, like, it's a lot of deception going on, but the house of cards is falling, and everybody should do their research. Everybody should come to their own conclusions. If you think the Seth Rich murder is not real or Pedogate's not real, that's fine. But if you think it's not real because they told you it's not real and they own all of the news sources who don't want you to see the information, when I was younger, I watched news sources, people like Alex Jones when I was in 2008, and he said the Saudi government, Saudi Arabia, was behind the 9/11 attacks. That was considered a conspiracy? Oh man, that's a conspiracy. Alex Jones is crazy. What did we find out last year? That's absolutely right. Now if you Google Saudi Arabia, ISIS, Saudi Arabia, Al-Qaeda, Saudi Arabia 9/11, this is public knowledge. This was released by the White House last year. Not Breitbart, not Alex Jones, not a right-wing hack. The White House, the Democratic Party instilled White House. This information was released 10 years ago. Oh, you think they're using cell phones to collect information and computers and stuff? You're crazy. You're a conspiracy theorist. What did we find out this year? Excuse me? They're doing that. They're controlling cars. They're even controlling people's cars. They have the technology to control people's cars and crash their car, like they probably did to Michael Hastings, who died as soon as he was doing investigations on the Democratic Party spying. Edward Snowden came out with the NSA leaks. Michael Hastings was jumping on that bandwagon. All of a sudden, his car crashes. Oh, that's a conspiracy. Oh, well, nah, your cell phone can't do that. That's a conspiracy. Well, now we know it's true. So what are you going to say to the people that you were calling them a conspiracy theorist 10 plus years ago? I'm not saying everything Alex Jones or a conspiracy theorist says is true. There are a lot of times where they're exaggerating or making stuff up or using their personal emotions and beliefs to instill it onto their audience. But does that mean that you write off everything that they do? Oh, I hate Sean Hannity and I hate Alex Jones, so everything they say is false. No, because that's just not true. Because Alex Jones has been saying stuff that now everybody knows is true, and nobody wants to give him credit. Like, oh, he said that 10 years ago. But that's a conspiracy. Meanwhile, they push the biggest conspiracy of our era. This is the most widespread conspiracy. All of this Russian news, the fact that it changes every single week, it's the biggest conspiracy being pushed on the American people in my lifetime. I've never seen anything like it. But that's not considered a conspiracy. Why? Because they told you it's not considered a conspiracy. And they've told you to be afraid of the news sources who want to delve into the truth. They want to hide you from the people that are willing to have a conversation. They're willing to look at evidence, and they're willing to dig deeper. Don't dig deeper there. Don't look there. It's like what they do with marijuana. Don't look there. Don't do it. And that's a whole different story, but the Seth Rich murder is not a right-wing conspiracy. It's not a Russian conspiracy. It's an American who worked for the Democratic National Committee who got shot in the back. There's all of this evidence proving that he was the WikiLeaks leaker, but meanwhile, people have the audacity to just write all that off and be like, I don't even want to think about it because, it's just a right-wing Russian conspiracy now. Even though the right wing didn't even care about this, it was the left wing of the progressives who've been talking about this all year. So I at least hope situations like this can bring the right-wing conservatives and progressives. I say this because I think labels are stupid. People are just people, and these labels keep us separated. So you got the conservatives and conservatives and right-wing whatever over here, libertarians who care about the Seth Rich stuff, and you have the left wing, the progressives, the Bernie Sanders supporters who realize Bernie Sanders is a fraud, and all of these people, you care about the Seth Rich stuff. You care about government corruption. How about you guys stop arguing so much, meet in the middle, and find out that you have a lot of similarities? That's a real movement. That's the real movement that they don't want. It's not conservatives and progressives fighting all the time. It's conservatives and progressives realizing you guys aren't that different, barring a few minor policies that if you have a conversation, maybe you'll figure out which one's better, or it's probably a combination of both that will help. So that's my thoughts on this Seth Rich smear attempt from the media, from left-wing hacks, from I don't even know who's doing it, Newsweek, Business Insider, like brainwash people who like Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, who just don't want to pretend like everything's Russian now and everything's a conspiracy and just don't even think about it or research it. It's ridiculous. All right, thanks for tuning in. Post my links below if you want to support the movement. Let me know. Also, another way you can support the movement outside of donating is to send my videos on Facebook, message them to pages that you think will share them, send them out, send them to news sources, send them to, big news people on TV, on social media, on Twitter, anywhere. Send them my videos and let them know to either interview me, talk about it, or share the information. That's how you could really help me for free outside of, donating money. So much love, and also just your support, your, you being here in general, the likes, the comments, the shares, that's a huge support as well. So don't think that I don't appreciate that, because I absolutely do. I appreciate everything, and I don't take anything for granted. That's real talk. So thank you guys so much. Have a good week.